morning and welcome to Daily Briefing. I'm Alex.
And I'm Sarah. June 24th, 2026.
Today we are tracking a major federal ruling on speedy deportations, a massive UN report on the conflict in Gaza, and Senate scrutiny over a $500 million foreign investment in a Trump family crypto venture. Plus, if you're stepping out in Parker, Colorado today, it is currently 61 degrees and overcast, heading for a high of 85 later this afternoon.
That Senate crypto probe is going to ruffle a lot of feathers in Washington, so let's get into it.
All right, turning to U.S. news. A federal appeals court has just handed a significant victory to the Trump administration regarding immigration enforcement. They have ruled in favor of allowing the expanded use of fast-track deportation procedures.
This is a fundamental shift in how undocumented immigrants are processed. The ruling allows immigration enforcement to bypass standard immigration court hearings entirely, which drastically accelerates the removal process.
It essentially removes the judicial bottleneck. For years, the backlog in immigration courts meant people could remain in the U.S. for months or even years waiting for their case to be heard.
Proponents are arguing this is exactly what is needed to regain control of border logistics. But civil rights groups are already sounding the alarm about due process.
They are arguing that fast-tracking removals means people with legitimate asylum claims might get swept up and deported before they can properly present their case to a judge.
The administration is framing this as a necessary efficiency measure. We will have to see how quickly the Department of Homeland Security scales up these speedy deportations on the ground.
Shifting gears to college athletics, the NCAA has just completely rewritten the rulebook on player eligibility. A panel approved a new rule giving Division I athletes 5 years to play 5 full seasons.
That completely erases the old redshirt math. It used to be that you had 5 years to play 4 seasons, meaning you could sit out a year to develop without.
It is a massive win for student athletes looking for more flexibility. But it is going to create an absolute headache for college coaches trying to manage their rosters and scholarship limits.
You're going to see older, more physically developed teams across the board. A 23-year-old senior playing against an 18-year-old freshman is already a mismatch, and this just bakes that age gap into the system.
It also means fewer roster spots.
Speaking of incoming talent, the 2026 NBA draft wrapped up its first round last night, and we saw plenty of surprise selections.
A lot of franchises were clearly drafting for immediate needs rather than long-term potential. We saw a few teams in the rebuilding phase make aggressive trades to secure multiple first-round picks.
The draft board got blown up early on. Several projected lottery picks slid down into the late teens, which means a few contending teams managed to grab incredible value late in the round.
It really sets the stage for a wild free agency period next month. Teams are clearly positioning themselves to either clear cap space or make a run at the title this upcoming season.
Over in the soccer world, Cristiano Ronaldo is proving he still has plenty left in the tank. He scored 2 crucial goals for Portugal to silence the critics after what was a very sluggish start to their World Cup campaign.
People were actively questioning if his age had finally caught up with him on the international stage. Those 2 goals completely shifted the narrative and revitalized Portugal's championship hopes.
He thrives under that exact kind of pressure. Whenever the media starts writing his athletic obituary, he manages to pull off a vintage performance.
It really reinforces his enduring impact. Even in the twilight of his career, he is the gravitational center of that Portuguese squad.
We also have some sad news from the entertainment world today. Legendary music executive Clive Davis has died at the age of 94.
His passing truly marks the end of an era for the global music industry. Clive Davis was the ultimate star maker. We are talking about the man who shaped the careers of Whitney Houston, Janis Joplin, Bruce Springsteen, and Alicia Keys.
He had this unparalleled ear for talent and commercial viability. He did not just sign artists. He actively curated their sound and guided their public personas for decades.
He founded Arista Records and J Records, and his influence touched almost every genre of popular music from the 1960s all the way into the 2000s.
On a slightly brighter note for the arts, Lin-Manuel Miranda is officially bringing a new project to Broadway. He is adapting the 1979 cult classic film, The Warriors, into a stage musical.
That is a massive theatrical return for the Hamilton creator. The musical is set to premiere in spring 2027.
The Warriors is such a gritty, stylized story about New York City street gangs trying to survive the night. It is a very different vibe from his previous historical work, so I am fascinated to hear what the score sounds like.
Knowing Miranda, it will be a dense, high-energy mix of genres. Coming up, we have a heavy slate of global news, including a major UN report on the conflict in Gaza.
Let's turn to the international stage. A newly released United Nations report is leveling severe allegations against the Israeli military regarding the deaths of children in Gaza following the temporary truce.
The language in this report is incredibly stark. The UN inspectors allege that the military actions resulting in these specific civilian casualties constitute acts of genocide.
Using that specific legal term is going to dramatically intensify the international legal pressure on Israel. It is not just a condemnation of the violence, it is a formal accusation of violating the highest statutes of international human rights law.
The findings are already triggering a wave of diplomatic scrutiny. We are seeing immediate calls from European and Middle Eastern allies for independent investigations into the command decisions that led to these strikes.
Israel has consistently maintained that its operations strictly target militant infrastructure and that civilian casualties are the tragic result of human shield tactics. But this UN documentation is going to make that defense much harder to sustain on the global stage.
Meanwhile, the war in Ukraine saw a major tactical development overnight. Ukrainian forces successfully struck a key railway bridge leading directly to the Russian-occupied Crimean Peninsula.
That is a critical logistical artery for the Russian military. Severing that specific supply line severely disrupts their ability to move heavy armor, ammunition, and reinforcements into the southern theater.
Ukraine has been very clear about their strategy here. They're systematically trying to isolate Crimea and choke off the Russian forces stationed there.
Taking out a railway bridge is much more impactful than hitting a standard road. You cannot easily reroute trains carrying hundreds of tons of military hardware. It forces Russia to rely on vulnerable maritime transport.
In the Middle East, we are seeing a rare diplomatic breakthrough. United Nations inspectors are scheduled to visit Iranian nuclear facilities as part of a newly negotiated agreement with the United States.
This is a massive step toward restoring international oversight. For the last few years, Iran has been steadily restricting access for UN watchdogs while enriching uranium closer to weapons-grade levels.
The U.S. deal seems designed to walk both sides back from the brink. Allowing inspectors back into these sensitive sites is the first tangible sign of easing geopolitical tensions surrounding Iran's nuclear capabilities.
It gives the international community a verifiable look at exactly what Iran has been building during the blackout period.
Finally, in global news, the U.S. Department of Justice has executed a major crackdown on transnational cybercrime. They seized a Hui1 cloud account linked to Cambodia's Hui1 group.
This account was being used to launder massive amounts of money generated by cyber scams, specifically those devastating pig-butchering fraud networks we have been reporting on.
Alongside the DOJ seizure, the Treasury Department rolled out fresh sanctions against 35 related entities and individuals. They are systematically targeting the financial infrastructure that allows these syndicates to operate.
Pig-butchering scams rely entirely on moving stolen crypto and fiat currency across borders quickly. By choking off their cloud infrastructure and sanctioning their launderers, the U.S. is hitting them where it actually hurts.
When we come back, we will run through the latest updates out of India, including a tragic warehouse collapse in Kolkata.
Moving over to India and Tamil Nadu. Emergency services are currently navigating a major rescue operation in Kolkata's Teratala area after a warehouse roof completely collapsed.
Authorities have confirmed 3 people are dead, and the situation on the ground is grim. Dozens more are feared trapped under the heavy debris.
Rescue teams are working around the clock to clear the rubble, but the structural instability of the remaining walls is making the extraction process incredibly dangerous.
We are also tracking a disturbing crime on Mumbai's transit network. A man was stabbed to death aboard a moving local train after an argument broke out over closing a carriage door.
It is a shocking escalation of violence over something so mundane. The incident is sparking renewed outrage over the lack of safety and security personnel on Mumbai's notoriously crowded daily commuter trains.
On the business front, Indian telecom giant Jio Platforms is making a massive play for the space sector. Ahead of its upcoming IPO, Jio has unveiled plans to establish a sovereign low Earth orbit satellite constellation.
They're calling it a sovereign network, which means the infrastructure will be tightly controlled within India. Initially, they plan to lease bandwidth to rapidly roll out high-speed satellite broadband across the country.
It puts them in direct competition with global players like Starlink, but with the home field advantage of deep integration into India's existing telecom regulations.
Let's talk markets, because there is a lot of movement in the crypto space today.
Senate Democrats are officially putting Donald Trump in their crosshairs over a massive foreign investment. They are calling for hearings into a $500 million investment by UAE officials into World Liberty Financial, which is the Trump family's crypto venture.
$500 million from a foreign state into a business run by a presidential candidate's family is unprecedented. The probe is explicitly aiming to investigate whether this funding has influenced Trump's policy decisions.
Lawmakers are pointing to his recent shifts in rhetoric regarding international finance and digital asset regulation. They want to know if that UAE money came with legislative strings attached.
The ethical questions here are glaring. You have foreign officials bypassing traditional lobbying channels and directly capitalizing a private family business at a massive scale.
We will see if the Senate committee can actually compel testimony from the venture's leadership. Meanwhile, the Ethereum Foundation is undergoing a brutal internal restructuring.
Vitalik Buterin announced they are cutting their budget by 40% and reducing their workforce by 20%. That is a massive contraction for the organization that essentially maintains the second-largest cryptocurrency in the world.
It comes amid a wave of senior leadership departures. The foundation is framing this as a strategic reset of their treasury, but it clearly reflects some deep internal turmoil.
They have been bleeding talent for months. A 40% budget cut suggests they are seriously worried about their long-term runway and operational efficiency.
Speaking of treasury worries, data analytics firm CryptoQuant has issued a stark warning to Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy. They are advising the company to immediately halt its aggressive Bitcoin acquisitions.
MicroStrategy essentially operates as a leveraged Bitcoin holding company at this point. But CryptoQuant,
they have overextended themselves at the cycle peaks. Because of the recent market downturn, the company is now facing a staggering $10.6 billion paper loss on their holdings.
If the market does not turn around, they could be forced into a liquidity crisis. And right now, the broader crypto market is not offering any relief.
Bitcoin is currently struggling to cling to the $62,500 level. Derivatives positioning has turned heavily bearish across major assets, including Solana and Ethereum.
That downward pressure is being driven by a deepening global sell-off in semiconductor and technology stocks. The chip sector has been bleeding for 2 days straight, and it is dragging all risk assets down with it.
We saw a minor rebound in U.S. equity futures this morning, but it was not enough to spark a crypto recovery. Ether and various meme coins are suffering even steeper percentage losses than Bitcoin.
But despite the price drop, the actual usage of the Bitcoin network is exploding. Network transactions just hit a 2-year high, blasting past 820,000 daily transfers.
That massive spike in traffic is almost entirely driven by a revival in the Rune protocol activity. People are minting and trading these digital artifacts directly on the blockchain.
It is a weird dichotomy. The price is dropping, but the network is congested. That traffic is generating massive transaction fees for miners, which helps offset the pain of the recent halving.
On the tech side, we have some major cybersecurity mandates coming down from the White House.
President Trump has just signed an executive order setting a hard deadline for the federal government to prepare for the quantum computing era. Federal agencies now have until 2030 to migrate their high-value systems to post-quantum cryptography.
This is a critical defensive move. Quantum computers are advancing so rapidly that they will soon be able to easily crack the standard encryption we use today to protect sensitive government data.
The fear is a harvest now, decrypt later scenario. Adversaries are already stealing encrypted federal data, just waiting for the day they have a quantum machine powerful enough to unlock it.
Giving agencies until 2030 and 2031 to complete this migration sounds like a lot of time, but overhauling federal IT infrastructure is notoriously slow. They have to start immediately.
And speaking of federal IT disasters, U.S. lawmakers are demanding answers from CISA after a completely avoidable data leak.
A government contractor accidentally leaked AWS GovCloud keys and agency secrets by uploading them to a public GitHub repository.
AWS GovCloud is specifically designed to host highly sensitive, restricted government workloads. Leaving the administrative keys on a public forum exposes that entire infrastructure to potential exploitation.
CISA is currently scrambling to contain the fallout, rotating credentials, and auditing logs to see if anyone malicious actually accessed the systems before the leak was discovered.
Lawmakers are furious. You can mandate all the advanced post-quantum encryption you want, but it does not matter if a contractor just leaves the password out in the open.
We did see a major win for law enforcement in the cyber realm today, though. 2 members of the notorious Scattered Spider hacking group have pleaded guilty in the UK.
This is the syndicate responsible for that massive cyber attack on Transport for London back in August 2024. They have been one of the most disruptive and aggressive hacking groups operating in recent years.
They specialized in social engineering, literally calling up IT help desks and tricking employees into handing over their login credentials. Getting guilty pleas on day 1 of the trial is a significant legal victory.
Over in the AI space, OpenAI is expanding a very interesting initiative called Daybreak. They want to automate the discovery and patching of critical software vulnerabilities at machine speed.
They are essentially turning their AI models into automated security researchers. As part of this, they are heavily updating their Codex security platform to secure major operating systems and open-source infrastructure.
If they can actually get AI to write secure patches for zero-day vulnerabilities faster than hackers can exploit them, that fundamentally changes the economics of cybersecurity.
We are also seeing a push to standardize how these AI agents interact with the world. Industry leaders, including Microsoft, Google, and Hugging Face, have drafted something called the Agentic Resource Discovery Specification, or ARD.
Right now, every AI agent operates in its own silo. The ARD standard creates a universal discovery layer so agents can seamlessly search for tools, APIs, and skills across different ecosystems.
It is all about interoperability. Alongside that, Hugging Face just highlighted the release of the GLM 5.2 model. It features a stable 1 million token context window, specifically optimized for long-horizon tasks.
1 million tokens means you can feed it entire code bases, or hundreds of documents at once. It also introduces a new architecture to reduce latency, making it much faster at processing all that data.
Finally, we have to mention this incredible discovery from the James Webb Space Telescope. Astronomers have detected a massive, galaxy-killing wind of gas sweeping through an early galaxy near the dawn of the universe.
It sounds like science fiction, but it is actually a crucial piece of cosmic history. This wind is being generated by an early supermassive black hole, and it is literally blowing away the gas needed to form new stars.
It perfectly illustrates how these ancient black holes quenched star formation and essentially shaped the evolution of the cosmos as we know it.
It is amazing what that telescope continues to find the further back it looks.
From sweeping cosmic winds to shifting political tides, the systems that govern our world are constantly evolving.
Thanks for listening. We will see you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.